What's going on, everyone? Today we are taking a look at the TRIBIT StormBox Blast 2. I already did a review on the speaker when it came out, but I'm doing another video as it just got a pretty substantial update, which is firmware V11/V9.5. There is a few things on this update, so I'll be going through all of that in this video, but overall it definitely took one of my favorite speakers and made it even better. Alright, so first off, they did a few different things when it comes to the overall sound and EQ on the speaker. Looking at the update notes, they reconstructed the dual DSP audio processing chain to reduce distortion and enhance dynamics. They recalibrated the tuning to improve fidelity and clarity, added dynamic EQ to enhance power output at high volumes, and updated the surround sound algorithm for the X3D preset. So I've been doing a lot of A/B testing with this update, and one thing I noticed immediately is not only does the overall sound quality just sound better, but the low bass is also greatly improved as well. Don't get me wrong, the speaker was no slouch before, but when you put it next to something like the JBL Boombox 4, then you could definitely hear the difference in the lack of low bass. But now with this update, it's pretty much hand in hand with the JBL, which is very impressive, especially when you consider that this one is much cheaper. But enough of my thoughts for now. Let me go ahead and play you some before and after so you can hear these improvements for yourself. This first test is going to be with X bass off, and this is going to be comparing the old tuning to the new tuning. Alright, so here it is with the original sound first, and when I click on this button, that's when I'll be switching it over to the new profile. This goes very loud and has a ton of bass, so right now this is with the volume at about 60%. New profile. Old. New. So as you can see, quite the difference in everything from the bass to the instruments to the vocals. Everything sounds more clear, more open, and the bass is just so much fuller. Let's go ahead and try out another song. Alright, so old firmware.
I can't check this feeling, 'cause
new firmware.
I'm falling for the villain, and it's not looking like a good decision.
Old firmware.
I try so hard to understand this, and you won't attempt to reprimand.
New.
Should I sit, take it in, let it all unfold?
So I don't know what they did in this exactly, but hopefully it comes across on camera as good as it does in person. But in person, it almost sounds like a much larger speaker. With the old firmware, it sounds a little more focused coming out the front of the speaker. With the new firmware, it just sounds like a much larger driver. And another thing I noticed is it sounds like they uncapped the speaker and let it run to its full potential. Before, it got louder when plugged in and slightly less on battery. But now it sounds pretty much identical between battery and AC. So let me go ahead and test this out with some more bass heavy songs. And we'll test it with old X bass on and then new firmware X bass on. Old firmware. Still very good, as you can hear. New. What a difference. Yeah, like I said, just a completely different speaker. A lot of speakers do updates, but very rarely is it something as substantial as this right here. As I said earlier, another update they did is the X3D preset. This preset basically gives you a simulated wider surround sound rather than a flat stereo sound coming from in front of you. I'm not sure how well this is going to come across on video, but in person it definitely works a lot better than before, especially when it comes to retaining the bass in this mode as well.
Like me.
So here it is on standard.
I can't check this feeling, 'cause I think I'm falling for the villain.
3D.
And it's not looking like a good decision. And I tried so hard
Standard.
to understand this, and you won't attempt to reprimand
3D.
it. Should I sit, take it in, let it all unfold? Then just say no.
It's a very subtle effect, but it does work very well. I've had other speakers that try to give so-called 3D effects, and it just adds a bunch of reverb and kind of sounds like garbage to me. But this one is a very well-tuned and subtle effect, so definitely a big fan of that one. And honestly, most of the time, I'm probably going to leave that one on as it just sounds a bit wider without actually messing up with the sound of the original song. So another thing they did is redesign the EQ experience you get in the app. So you now have 12 dB of plus minus adjustments in here. So you have a little more flexibility compared to before. And then they also modified what frequencies you can change as well. And just like before, you can have a ton of different presets here. And what's cool about this is if you want to use the X3D preset, you can stack that with one of your custom EQs as well. So this way you can use the 3D for the wider sound and then get the preferred sound profile that you want as well. Last but not least, another update they did is microphone optimization. Looking at the notes, they improved reverb effects, added microphone boost and anti-howling boost features, and reduced microphone latency. The microphone latency is one of my favorite updates here. It wasn't bad before, but you could notice a little bit of delay. But now it's pretty much non-detectable and definitely a huge improvement. The anti-howling is pretty much a reduction to microphone feedback. So typically, if you point the microphone toward the speaker, you'll get that annoying screeching feedback. But now with this feature, it's greatly reduced. So if you're doing karaoke, you can pretty much let the kids run wild and not have to worry about how they're pointing or holding the microphone. All right, so let's go ahead and test this out. Typically, if you want to use this with a microphone, you do have to use a wired microphone. But if you want to go wireless, I highly recommend this kit right here from the same company. It's a model BTS 56M. You can get this from their website. And I believe you can get it from Amazon as well. But it includes this little transmitter here. This goes in the back, plugs in the back of the speaker. And then you get a fully wireless setup. And as you can see, it does include 2 microphones in the box as well. So just plug this in, turn on the microphone, and it's automatically synced up. All right, so let's go ahead and try this out. I got it hooked up. Test, 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 test. As you can hear, it's pretty much one-to-one on the speaker to me saying it in real time. Maybe if you recorded this and showed it on a graph, there might be some form of delay. But in real world, listening here in front of it, I cannot hear any delay whatsoever. Test, 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 test. Which is very impressive, especially when you consider that this is being wirelessly transmitted as well. So these are the features right here. So you have the microphone boost. This already has a ton of volume on there, so personally, I don't need this. Hello, hello, hello. Now with the boost, 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 without boost, without boost, with boost, with boost, with boost. So as you can hear, as soon as you click that, it goes quite a bit of boosted volume. Maybe you have a cheaper microphone that doesn't have much pickup. That's where you might need to use that. But with their TRIBIT microphones, definitely not needed. And then right down here, this is where you have that anti-howling boost. There's really no reason to leave that off. So when you get this update, definitely leave that on. And that's when you're going to be able to do this with the microphone and not get any of that annoying screeching coming back at you. And looking at the back, this is what it looks like. You have a transmitter that plugs in here, mic volume 1, mic volume 2, and then you have your reverb. As I said earlier, they did improve the reverb on this. So at the most minimal, hello, 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 testing reverb. As you can hear, very minimal. Let's go up to about 30%. Hello, hello, hello. A lot more echoey. 75, 75, 75. Now it sounds like you're in a church almost. And then max. Max reverb. Max reverb. Bow, 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 bow. Lots more reverb on there. So I guess depending on what you're doing, this is going to be a lot more helpful. Maybe you're playing guitar or have an instrument. That's where that reverb might be more handy. Then for karaoke, I probably recommend about 50 and less. All in all, definitely a very good update. The only con to this update is reduced battery life. The battery life was very good before, and I never felt like it was dying too quick or anything like that. So for most people, it'll likely be a negligible change. And I think in general, if anyone has the choice between a much better sound quality and bass or slightly longer battery life, most people are going to go with the sound updates. After all, that is why we buy these bigger, more powerful speakers in the first place. Overall, this is definitely one of the best updates they've done to this speaker. It's such a drastic update that it's almost like they turned this into a StormBox Blast 2.5. They did not have to update this speaker, but it's great to see that almost 2 years later, they're still supporting it and making improvements. So if you have this speaker, I highly recommend getting this update And if you don't and happen to be shopping for a larger Bluetooth speaker, then I would highly recommend this one here, which again is the TRIBIT StormBox Blast 2. If you would like to purchase or get more information, I'll also have the link in the description as well. Alright, well that about wraps up this video. As usual, if you have any questions at all, feel free to drop me a comment and let me know. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.